2026, we do expect live parliamentary proceedings to commence at 14:30 hours, and on live commentary, my name is Muyunda Akatama Joe.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us on Parliament Television this afternoon. My name is Pauline Monga, to be with you on live transmission, and later on we'll be joined by our sign language interpreters, Shola Kauma and Jason Manda. And just now we have a look at business of the House yesterday before we give you what is expected to come for discussion on the floor of the House.
Yes, indeed, yesterday business did commence at 14:30 hours, and Madam Speaker did make a number of announcements. In the first announcement, Madam Speaker informed the House that she had received communication to the effect that in the absence of our one, the Vice President who was attending to other government business, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Dr. Stumbekom Sokotwani MP, had been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from Wednesday, 4th March 2026 until further notice.
And this was followed by an announcement by Madam Speaker in which she recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from the following schools. 1, African Vision of Hope Christian School, Secondary School in Chongwe District, and 2, Monique Pre and Primary School in Lusaka District. And on behalf of the institution, she welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
Madam Speaker further recognized the presence in the public gallery of students from Eden University in Lusaka District, and Madam Speaker welcomed the students to the institution.
And the Honorable Madam Speaker also recognized the presence in the public gallery of delegates from the Swedish Embassy, led by His Excellency Ambassador Johan Hallensborg. And on behalf of the National Assembly, the Honorable Madam Speaker welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
In the other announcement, Madam Speaker reminded the House that in 2023, the National Assembly of Zambia embarked on the process of establishing a parliamentary training institute, and that subsequently the Institute for Parliamentary Studies and Training, IPST, was born with a mandate to provide training and capacity building programs to parliamentarians, staff, and interested stakeholders. Madam Speaker further informed the House that the IPST would be officially launched on Monday, 16th March 2026, in the auditorium at Parliament buildings starting at 09 hours. Madam Speaker urged all honorable members to attend the event, which was a significant milestone in parliamentary reforms.
And in the last announcement, the Honorable Second Deputy Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of a group of women who are aspiring candidates for Member of Parliament in the forthcoming general elections. Mr. Second Deputy Speaker stated that the women were participating in a high-level Women in Leadership Conference taking place at Mulungushi International Conference Center from 4th to 5th March 2026, and was organized by the Gender Division at Cabinet Office and partners. Mr. Second Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly, welcomed the visitors to the institution.
After those announcements were made, the House went on to consider 3 urgent matters without notice under Standing Order 142, and the first one did come from Ms. Kapamba Mulenga, Kalulush Member of Parliament. She did raise a matter on the residents of Chambishi in Kalulushi district who were vulnerable to attacks by criminals, allegedly due to the absence of regular police patrols in the area, as officers were allegedly deployed to provide security at private-owned mines. And this matter was not admitted.
And the Kafisa Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Kangombe, also raised an urgent matter without notice, and the subject matter was on the inefficiency of the Zambia Qualifications Authority in meeting its client's request on time. This was inadmissible.
Mr. Bino Mpundu, Nkana Member of Parliament, did raise the matter on the alleged delayed payment of allowances to students at CBU, and this matter was not admitted.
And there were 2 ministerial statements that were rendered on the floor of the House yesterday. In the first ministerial statement, the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation did make a statement on the water supply and sanitation interventions in Southern Province, and he briefed the House on the progress made in expanding access to safe water and improved sanitation services.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation made a statement on the evolving situation in the Middle East arising from the USA, Israel and Iran conflict and the welfare of Zambian nationals who are either residents or transiting in the region. The minister briefed the House on the measures being taken to safeguard the welfare of Zambians in that region.
After the two ministerial statements, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 8, and these were questions number 238 and 239. However, notice was taken at 17:02 hours that a quorum had not been formed, and the Honorable Mr. Second Deputy Speaker ordered the bells to be rung and the House counted, and the quorum having formed, business of the House resumed.
Thereafter, the House did consider a private member's motion, which was moved by Mr. Mulenga Fuve, Chilubi Member of Parliament, where he was urging the government to allocate 30% of the Constituency Development Fund to sponsor vulnerable students who wish to undertake diploma and degree courses. And this motion was negatived.
The House also considered the Banking and the Financial Services Bill, National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2025, which was considered at the second reading stage. It was read a second time and committed to the Committee of the whole House. Committee stage will be taken on Friday, tomorrow, 6 March 2026.
The Agriculture Credits and Warehouse Receipts Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2025 was considered as amended, and a third reading is expected to be taken today.
And the House went on to consider the Zambia Deposit Insurance Corporation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, which was being considered at report stage. And at the House, at the time that the business of the House was interrupted, this bill was under consideration, and the House was adjourned accordingly at 18:27 hours. So basically that was business that was considered on the floor of the House yesterday, which was the 4th March 2026. And now we shift our attention and look at business that is expected to come on the floor of the House today, Thursday, 5th March 2026.
Yes, indeed, Pauline. So we do expect two ordinary questions under Standing Order 8. These are ordinary questions. 5 grouped questions under Standing Order 83, and of course one report and one private member's motion. 2 bills are to be considered at different stages.
Yes, now the details of business expected on the floor of the House. We have question number 240 expected to be posed by Chinsali Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa, and he's directing his question to the Minister of Defense. And the first part of the question, he wants to know how many candidates from Chinsali parliamentary constituency were selected to undergo the Zambia National Service Voluntary Training Program for the September 2025 intake, and part B, what criteria was used to ensure a fair selection process.
Question 241 coming from Mr. Mulenga Fuve, Chilubi Member of Parliament, to ask the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether Chilubi parliamentary constituency benefited from the Car for Work program as of August 2025. And these are Chewesa to, I beg your pardon, that's question 241 coming from Mr. Mulenga Fuve to ask the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether Chilubi parliamentary constituency benefited from the Cash for Work program as of August 2025.
Yes, and we have 3 grouped questions under Standing Order number 80 to be considered on the floor of the House, and we have question number 242 coming from Mr. Justin Kapema, Member of Parliament for Pambashe, and his question is directed to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. And in the first part of the question, he wants to know whether the government has any plans to construct a bridge across Pambashe River to connect Senior Chief Mushota's area to Chief Chama's area in Pambashe parliamentary constituency. And part B of the question, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and part C, if there are no such plans, why? And
we also have a question from Engineer Raphael Mavenga, Mlovezi Member of Parliament, to ask the Minister of Technology and Science In A, our main communication towers have been allocated for construction in Mlobezi district under the gap analysis program. B, how many towers are earmarked for construction in following years, ward by ward, 2025, 2026, and 2027. C, when the existing towers will be upgraded from 2G to 4G and 5G in order to enhance internet connectivity.
Yes, Joe, we look at the motions. One of the motions is expected to be moved by Chinsali Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa, in which he wants to urge the House to adopt the report of the Zambia delegation to the 58th SADC Parliamentary Forum plenary session, which was held in Etequini Metropolitan Municipality in Durban, South Africa, from 30th November to 5th December 2025 for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th March 2026. We also have a private member's motion expected to be moved by Mr. Alex Katakwe, and the motion is titled Establish a National Ethics Committee, that this House urges the government to establish a National Ethics Committee responsible for ethical professional practice standards in the professional community in the country.
And we have orders of the day: the Zambia Deposit Insurance Corporation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, which was under consideration yesterday, still at a report stage. The Agricultural Credits and Warehouse Receipts Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2025 at a third reading.
Yes, and right now we take you to the floor of the House as the Speaker's delegation makes its floor into the House. Good afternoon.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our blessed by those who blend. Let us all have people join us one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky. Like a noble eagle in its flight, Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, bless our great Zambia, 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 remain we stand under the flag.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen.
Good afternoon. You are tuned into Parliament Television. Business of the House is expected to resume shortly as soon as a quorum has been constituted. It is a requirement that 1/3 of the members of Parliament have to be in the House for business to continue or to resume. In this case, the bells will still ring until a quorum has been constituted.
We have 2 ordinary questions under Standing Order 80, 5 grouped questions under Standing Order 83, 1 committee report, 1 private member's motion, 2 bills at different stages.
And we expect the motion of thanks, of course, to continue. This is the motion of...
Order, honorable members, I have a number of announcements to make. The first announcement, honorable members, have received communication to the effect that, in the absence of Her Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose L. Lufuma, MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, Thursday, 5th March, 2026, until further notice. The second announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery another group of women who are aspiring candidates for members of Parliament in the forthcoming general elections. The women are participants in a high-level women leadership conference taking place at Mulungushi International Conference Center from 4th to 5th March 2026, organized by the Gender Division at Cabinet Office and partners. Honorable Member for Kwacha, they are candidates who want to stand as members of Parliament, not as councillors. Order, honorable members. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our women in our midst. Okay, thank you. Don't be worried. This is what democracy entails. We should encourage them. The second announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of village headmen from Hanjalika Royal Establishment in Mazabuka district. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome the visitors in our midst. I thank you. The next announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Rhodes Park School in Lusaka district. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. The last announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Waterfall's Good Shepherd School in Lusaka district. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome the visitors in our midst. Thank you. You may take your seats. Urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member for Bangweulu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity granted to me to raise a matter without notice, which is directed at the acting leader of business in the House for today. Madam Speaker, this is in relation to the ongoing voter verification. We've just discovered, Madam Speaker, that the verification kits are 1 kit per ward, at least in my constituents. That is what has come to my attention. So for those voters who would want to change polling stations, can only walk to that or move to that one kit in a ward. And it's proving to be very difficult for our people to travel long distances. Now I bring this to the attention of the one who is acting to ensure that something is done before the exercise comes to an end on Sunday, because most of our people will not have an opportunity to go and change the polling station. I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The issue of verification of details, voters' details, I think is an important one. It will be prudent for the government to come to the House and give a statement on what is happening so that the House, and through the House, the members of the public can be updated. So we can say today is Tuesday next week. Will that be? Oh, sorry, we are not sitting. That's the problem of these urgent matters without notice. Next week we are not sitting. Tomorrow is not possible because of short notice. So if it comes after next week, it would have been overtaken by events. So, tomorrow. Maybe the Honorable Acting Leader for Government Business can indicate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. As important, definitely, as the exercise is, I think we'll try and expedite and see if something can be done tomorrow immediately. So the operatives on the ground are hearing me now. They should get to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House, for that assurance. So a ministerial statement will be rendered tomorrow on the matter that has been raised by the Honorable Member for Bangweulu. We go to the next, the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank your office once again for the opportunity to direct an urgent matter without notice to the Honorable Minister of Education. Minister of Education, your ministry is one of the most important ministry in terms of provision of education, as well as creating job opportunities for the young men and women that are trained as teachers. Last year, Madam Speaker, the ministry did undertake the recruitment of teachers under a program of replacing those who had not taken up their initial positions. And that was exactly 7 months ago, Madam Speaker. This is the month of March. We have information, Madam Speaker, that those who were employed under the replacement program up to now, Madam Speaker, have not been placed on the payroll so that they could start earning income as they offer this very important work of teaching the young boys and girls that are going to school. And Madam Speaker, this matter has been exercising the minds of the teachers who were recruited. 7 months they've been reporting for work on the understanding that they will be put on the payroll. And I'm sure the Honorable Minister is aware that these young men and women have not been placed on the payroll. I wish to seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker, to accord an opportunity to the Minister of Education through this platform to assure the teachers out there that they will be placed on the payroll as soon as possible so that as they go to deliver work to our teachers across the 116 districts, Madam Speaker, they will be able to be highly motivated. I think you can't report for work without drawing a salary. Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence on this very, very important issue. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa. The issue of recruitment of teachers, I think it has been an ongoing exercise, including the replacement of teachers. For a matter to be raised as an urgent matter without notice, the issue, there is a criteria that has to be complied with. The matter that we have raised does not meet the criteria, so it's not admitted as an urgent matter without notice. But I can suggest that you put in an urgent question directed at the Honorable Minister of Education, and then you'll be able to come and address your concern. The next one, the Honorable Member for Mitete.
Madam Speaker, it is with a heavy heart, though the Minister of Defense has already indicated that they've taken a quick action, and we recommend the Minister and his team and the government of UPND under President Hakainde Hichilema. We lost in between Nyachkai and Washishi 2 male government workers. One, a teacher, the other one, a clinical officer. They are heroes. Nyachkai and Washish are far-flung places bordering Angola. They sacrificed to go and work in such places. We lost them as they were trying to cross Lutembwe River just to go and submit menstrual returns. Madam Speaker, we extend our heartfelt condolences to the families of these 2 gallant officers. Since the Minister already said it, it then remains to me just to appreciate government efforts. The people, our beloved ones, one has been taken to Mwange, the other one is lying in Zambe's mortuary awaiting burial. Minister, thank you so very much.
Now I have to scratch my head and think, how does that matter come in? Sorry, we condolences for what has happened. It was just a matter that was raised. It's not an urgent matter without notice, but maybe it's an urgent concern without notice. I'm sure the Honorable Minister has taken note. Let's make progress. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 80. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 240.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, once again. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Chinsali asks the Minister of Defense the following question. How many candidates from Chinsali parliamentary constituency were selected to undergo the Zambia National Service Voluntary Training Program for September 2025 intake? And under B, what criteria were used to ensure a fair selection process? Those are the two questions that have been posed by the Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. Under A, a total of 5 candidates were selected from Chinsali constituency to undergo voluntary national service training after passing medical tests. The following are the names of the candidates from Chinsali constituency. 1, Shinondo Mwape, who was selected to go to the Katete Center in Chiwoko. Then there's Gilad Mulenga, 27310546 NRC, also to Katete. Xavier Chimanga is number 3. Katete. Ricky Mwemba, Katete, and Wigan Kapamba, also Katete. You will note definitely that these who have gone to Katete and Kitwe, those are male designated training centers, so they are male. Under B, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the Member of Parliament for Chinsali that to ensure a fair selection process in selection of candidates, the following guidelines were given. 1, selection guidelines for voluntary national service training program was given to the provincial permanent secretary. So every province got these guidelines. 2, the selection was carried out at provincial level by respective provincial permanent secretaries in liaison with the Office of the District Commissioners. 3, 7 names selected candidates from each constituency were to be submitted and were submitted in the following manner: 3 females and 4 males, to make a total of 10 for each constituency, or 7 for each constituency. Number 4, the training program is on voluntary basis, and the duration is 6 months. So any time from now, there should be a pass out. 5, eligibility criteria for a person to volunteer. This includes the selection criteria for CDF bursary guidelines on education, such as A, must definitely be a Zambian and holder of green national registration card, grade 12 certificate or equivalent, between 18 and 35 years of age, that means youth, physically and mentally fit, medical report, must have no criminal record, ready to undergo basic military training, active contact phone number and address, etc., carry along a photocopy of Green National Registration Card, and be a resident of the constituency where you are applying, where you are applying from. And you must have lived there for at least 6 months. So you just don't dart in and out and claim you are a resident of that constituency. Then identification of volunteers was done through the Office of the District Commissioner in line with guidelines. I said it already. And then the Office of the District Commissioner was tasked to submit the names eligible volunteers to the provincial administration. I think that's a process. However, that's how the selection was made. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the response and for indicating that 5 candidates from Chinsali were selected to undergo the ZNS voluntary training program for the 2025, September 2025 intake. I would like to find out from you, Honorable Minister, what was the total number countrywide of the candidates that were selected to undergo this very important program? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member of Parliament for Chinsali. Thanks very much, Madam Speaker. The total number was basically 7 times 156 constituencies, and that came to 1092. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chipili.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, what program do you have for these people who are soon going to be graduated? What programs do you have for them when they're out of training? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member of Parliament, for that very, very important question. This program, Madam Speaker, is a voluntary program. And as government, we are trying to upgrade life skills of the majority of our unemployed youth, so that we empower them in a way that when they settle in their respective communities, they are able to have a skill that they can apply in order to secure a stream of income for themselves. So primarily, that's what we are trying to do. So we are training these people in skills such as carpentry, welding, agriculture, auto mechanics, something, to use hands-on. We are also trying to prepare them for industry. So these are craftsmen, so that they are able to enter industry because they are trained and can be able to be employed. The other benefit, Honorable Member of Parliament, is that these trained youth, Zambia National Service trained youth, then become a reserve for any possibilities in terms of employment, be it in the public sector or in the private or parastatal sector. So those are some of the benefits that accrue. But apart from that, it's nationalism and patriotism, which we emphasize, and discipline. This is why there's an element of military training, because we believe in everything that you do, discipline is paramount. So those are some of the benefits that this program comes along with. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would just like to seek a clarification. If you address this issue, then maybe I didn't hear, you should bear with me. You indicated that we had 7 candidates selected for this voluntary training at ZNS per constituents. Then for Chinsali, we selected about 5. Is it that the other 2, nobody came forth, or why is it that we didn't have 7 for Chinsali? Could there be a specific reason? Enlighten me, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Madam Speaker. Yes, 7 were targeted for each and every constituency. Unfortunately, not all the constituencies had the 7. In your case, 1 did not go through the medicals, and so a replacement was not forthcoming, and so that slot was lost to you. The other was that one of the recruits, volunteers, went away without official leave, Those who went to Zambia National Service will know. And so they were not replaced, so you lost that chance as well. So please, next time this program is on, members of parliament, please get involved so that you get the 7 that are allocated to you. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have a lot of business on the order paper. I'm sure the question has been exhaustively dealt with, so we can make progress. There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member Fonkana, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, premised on Standing Order number 70, I wish to seek your guidance.
Honorable Member Fonkana, you've just come in, we've just started, we're on questions and answers. What are you asking for personal explanation for? Is it for what happened today or what happened in the past?
Madam Speaker, I wish to explain myself on what happened yesterday.
That is what under the bridge, Honorable Member. We have already dealt with that issue. If you have any concerns, you can come to my office. We find out what exactly you want to explain yourself. Then when I understand and appreciate your concern, I'll be able to guide accordingly. So the next question, the Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Madam Speaker, before I ask a question, allow me to appreciate the reaction by the Vice President's office in looking at the flood victims in Chilubi. Question number 241.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Chilubi, Honorable Mlenga Fube, asked the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether Chilubi parliamentary constituency benefited from the Cash for Work program as of August 2025. If so, how many residents benefited from the program as of that date, and what kind of activities were performed under the program? Madam Speaker, in response, I wish to inform this August House that the phase 1 of the Cash for Work program was being implemented only in 8 provinces that had experienced drought in the 2023-2024 farming season. Luapula and the northern provinces were not included in the program under this phase 1 because they were not affected by the drought during the period I earlier mentioned. The decision not to include the 2 provinces was informed by the vulnerability assessment exercise that was undertaken by the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit at that time. Therefore, Chilubi parliamentary constituency, being in Northern Province, did not benefit from the program in phase 1. Madam Speaker, I must be quick to indicate to this August House that in the subsequent farming season 2024-2025, government realized that there were households whose crops did not perform well, as such undertook another exercise to identify the levels of vulnerability across the 10 provinces. This exercise gave birth to phase 2 of the Cash for Work program, whose implementation will cover all the 10 provinces. Under phase 2 of this program, local authorities have identified and registered the vulnerable households in readiness for the implementation of the program once funds are released. Chilubi is part of phase 2 of the implementation program. Under phase 1 of the program, there were no beneficiaries as the district was not part of the program. However, under phase 2, the district has 1,994 beneficiaries that are part of the program that have already been registered by the local authority. As indicated in A and B above, no works were undertaken in phase 1 as the district was not part of the program. Under phase 2, Madam Speaker, the following works will be done, which is maintenance and rehabilitation of community infrastructure like roads, rehabilitation of crossing points, solid waste management, molding of bricks for community projects, vegetation control and tree stamping, culvert and blocking, to mention just a few. Madam Speaker, I thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Madam Speaker, I would like to first agree with the Minister that phase 1 was climate-driven selection criteria, and I think it involved about 84 districts. Given that background, Madam Speaker, I would like to ask the Minister whether he knows that whereas Chilubi was not affected by drought, part of the wetlands and part of the highland was affected by the floods, which was equivalent to those, and they were affected in a manner equivalent to those that had drought. Why was not Chilubi not considered on the drought, on the floods, as the criteria that was used there is climate-driven?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much, and I would like to thank my dear colleague for a follow-up question. Madam Speaker, let me read my statement on how the identification of beneficiaries was done. The decision not to include the 2 provinces was informed by the vulnerability assessment exercise that was undertaken by the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit at that time. So since my ministry was not given that information as Chilubi to be part of the beneficiaries, we could not go ahead to include Chilubi. However, Madam Speaker, you may wish to note that it's not every disaster that happens that is being considered under cash for work. We have a lot of intervention measures from the DMMU and also under the means of community development to address situations of disaster. So maybe those who identify, they considered Chilubi maybe under DMMU or under Ministry of Community Development. So maybe that's the reason.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would like to find out from you this vulnerability assessment that was conducted by DMMU, how perfect it was in identifying areas to give cash for work and others not to be given. Because the case of flooding in Chilubi, it is a serious matter. I don't really understand how it could have been forgotten. And I think we were even seeing on social media, television, how the people in Chilubi were affected during that time. The same way with Chinsali, it was also left. It never benefited from the phase one of the cash for work. And I don't think a person can say it is the fact that Chinsali was not affected by the drought in 2024 to 2025 farming season, because we were affected. Chinsali and Shiwangandu, we share the same climatic conditions. But Shiwangandu was given, Chinsali was not given. I think in Muchinga there were only 2 places that were given. So despite sharing the same climatic conditions, those 2 were given. So are you able to confirm maybe the vulnerability assessment that was conducted by the DMMU was not perfect proof? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. This is a constituency-based question. If you want to ask about our own constituencies, it's easy, you just put in a question. I don't know whether the honorable minister has got an answer for that question. The honorable minister of local government and rural development.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much, and I'd like to thank the Member of Parliament for Chinsali for a question which was constituency-based. Now he wants us to attend to a lot of constituencies. But however, Mr. Speaker, as a responsible government, we have responses to every situation because we work it 24/7. Madam Speaker, not long ago, every Zambian is aware of what happened in Rondazi. The disaster that was in Rondazi. The call by the Member of Parliament for the government to seek for the constituents to get intervention from the government. And the government acted promptly. Madam Speaker, as members of Parliament, when a situation happens, that's why there is a government. Please, at the right time, reach out to government. Easily. At the right time. Just like that. This situation, if Chilubi was left in 2025, where was the Member of Parliament? To make a follow-up to government. So that immediately, maybe not under cash for work or any other social intervention, the government would have taken Chilubi on board. Sometimes when you leave a situation, you want to come and ask a question, but meanwhile the situation was not waiting. The people of Chilubi suffered at that particular time. Now you want to get a response in 2026 over a disaster of 2023, 2024. I think we are not trying to be very fair to our people. What we are saying is our offices as ministers remain open. Any situation that happens, immediately let's engage each other so that we help the people of Zambia. We help our constituents. So a situation like in Chilubi, maybe it never needed cash for work. It needed other social interventions. For me to comment about DMMU, which has done exceptionally well, to whatever the DMMU picks, they promptly act. I can't question them. DMMU, I can't just question. They have done a lot, and they are still doing a lot. We had a disaster just recently in Chilubi where the road was cut. It took 48 hours for them to be repaired. Just here just after Chong West, that constituency, for the provincial minister, Lusaka province, Lufonsa, 48 hours, DMM moved in. So for me to start questioning an institution that works so well, I'll be very unfair to the men and women who are committed to duty. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Madam Speaker, I would like to indicate that I take great exception when the minister portrays me as a member of parliament who is not responsible. Maybe the minister may learn that I've been to, when we had the problems I referred to, the vice president can attest that I was in our office and I even asked about the 84 districts. The vice president explained to me. And I think this time around, when we have the when I was asking this question, when I rose, I appreciated the vice president's office about what he has referred to. So to say that you can't ask a question in 2026 when something happened in 2025, I think that is misplaced. Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the minister which criteria have been used this time around to cater for all the 10 provinces. Since we had a drought then, and it's the one which was guiding for them to select the other provinces and knock out the 2, which criteria now have they used? Because we don't have a drought. Yes, we may have more rains than expected. Which criteria has now been used to include all the provinces in the second phase, which was not feasible then, and now it is? And when did they do this assessment where they should include the 10 provinces? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much, and I would like to thank my dear colleague, Member of Parliament for Chilubi. Madam Speaker, I never questioned the Member of Parliament about his commitment to duty. I didn't ever question that. All I said was, once a calamity happens, let's move with time so that we address those situations at a right time. That's what I meant. I never questioned his commitment, because if he was not committed, he wouldn't have brought the question. The reason he brought the question, it shows commitment, but timing is also important. Madam Speaker, let me repeat the response I gave. Madam Speaker, I must be quick to indicate to this August House that in the subsequent farming season, which is 2024-2025, government realized that there were households whose crops did not perform well, and as such undertook another exercise to identify the levels of vulnerability. Clear? So this is what led to the phase 2. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, can we make progress? Grouped questions for oral answer under Standing Order 83. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the opportunity to the people of Pambashe to ask a question. Question 242.
Order, honorable members. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development to respond to questions 242, 243, and 244 as grouped questions. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Responding to the question, I think it's 242. Honorable Member for Pambashe, Honorable Justin Kapema, asking the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development the following 3 questions. Question A, whether the government has any plans to construct a bridge across Pambashe River to connect Senior Chief Mushota Mshota's area and the Chief Chama's area in Pambashe parliamentary constituency? If so, when the plans will be implemented, that is B, and C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, the response is as follows. The government has plans to construct and repair selected bridges in Pambashe constituency using a phased approach. And to B, the plans will be implemented once the crossing points have been assessed and the funds have been made available for the project. And lastly, C, as stated in A above, the government has plans to construct and repair selected bridges in Pambashe constituency. I give further information for the sake of time, Madam Speaker. Government has a consolidated plan to construct and repair selected bridges in Pambashe constituency using the phased approach, as I said. And currently, the government is constructing a bridge at the Longo River together with a 6.5 kilometer of access roads at a total cost of 141,481,417 kwacha 64 ngwe. And the bridge alone, that particular bridge along the, across the Longo River is almost complete at 90%. And of course, government will proceed to construct other bridges, including the one at Pambashe River, which will reduce travel distance from 70 kilometers to 12 kilometers, subject to the availability of resources. I think that's the answer to that particular question. For guidance, Madam Speaker, do I proceed with other questions? Okay. The next question, Madam Speaker, is from the Honorable Member for Chinsali. And the question is as follows. A, what the cause of the delay in completing the construction of Basuma Bridge, which connects Chinsali and the Malole parliamentary constituency is? B, at what percentage of completion the project was as of September 2025? C, what the estimated cost of the outstanding work is, and the D, when the project will be completed. And to that question, to those questions, we answer as follows, Madam Speaker. The delay in completing the construction of Basuma Bridge was due to fiscal constraints. B, as at September 2025, the percentage completion was at 28%. C, the estimated cost of the outstanding works is 200 million kwacha. And D, the project is expected to be completed by the fourth quarter of 2027. Additional information, Honorable Member for Chinsali. The construction contract from Basuma Bridge was awarded to China Railway 7th Group at a contract sum of 84,185,816 kwacha 99 ngwe on 2nd May 2018 for a period of 18 months. Due to fiscal constraints, the contract lapsed on 14th September 2022 and was thus terminated. As at September 2025, the physical progress of the works was at 28%. The outstanding works are estimated at 200 million kwacha. Government has since secured 30 million kwacha for the project in the 2026 road sector annual work plan. The Road Development Agency is currently finalizing the bidding document for the project, and it will be commencing the tendering process before the end of March 2026. The outstanding works are expected to be completed within a period of 18 months. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The last question is from the Honorable Member for Chinsali, asking my ministry the following questions. whether the government has any plans to construct bridges across Lubu River in Chinsali Parliamentary constituency to connect Cheswa village to Sula village and Kapululu village to Malolo village. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and C, if there are no such plans, why? We answer as follows, Madam Speaker, that the government has plans to construct bridges across Lubu River in Chinsali Parliamentary constituency to connect, of course, Cheswa village to Sula village and Kapululu village to Malolo village. The plans will be implemented once the crossing points have been assessed and the funds have been made available for the project. And the C, as stated in A above, government does indeed have plans to construct bridges across those points. For extra information, Madam Speaker, government has plans to construct these bridges across those crossing points. But it's worth noting, Madam Speaker, that the highlighted crossing points are not on gazetted roads. However, the crossing points require capital expenditure. The RDA Regional Office, in collaboration with Chinsali Municipal Council, are currently conducting assessments in order to determine appropriate interventions. Once these assessments are completed, proposals for long-term interventions shall be made in order to address the current crossing challenges on these sections of the river. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? We start with the Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your good responses to the people of Pambashe. Honorable Minister, it takes about 90 kilometers from Senior Chief Mushota to Chief Chama by road. But if we had a bridge just across Pambashe River, it's about 1.8 kilometers. Honorable Minister, maybe just to shed more light, what promise, or in terms of time frame, how are you promising the people of Pambashe, the people of Pambashe, when the government will commence the construction of this bridge? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Honorable Kapema. Indeed, these crossing points, if a bridge is constructed, have a tendency of shortening distances that are covered in moving from point A to point B. The example I gave on this Longo Bridge, which we are currently constructing in your constituency, has cut distance, or is cutting distance of 70 kilometers down to 12 kilometers. So even the point that you are making, indeed, we shall, it will reduce those distances. And wherever we go and construct bridges, we have similar stories. But when you say when, I think my answer, Honorable Member, was very explicit. It's a question of allocation of resources, number one. Number two, when we are using the phased approach, it means we deal with the phases that are ahead of the others. That crossing point that you're talking to will also be attended, but there are some crossing points that are ahead in terms of the phased approach. But you are free, Honorable Member, to discuss some of these matters in our offices so we can show what is happening. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your responses. I would like to find out from you, Honorable Minister, if I heard you correctly, you indicated that the value of outstanding works on this very important bridge connecting Muchinga and northern provinces in the name of Basuma Bridge, the outstanding balance is 200 million for it to be completed. You further indicated that in the 2016 work plan, the government has budgeted a 10 million. If I heard you correctly, in case I didn't hear you correctly, you clarify. I would like to find out, Honorable Minister, the urgency or importance that the government is attaching to this project, because you have indicated that it is expected to be completed next year, fourth quarter, which is the last quarter of 2027. And the outstanding balance is 200 million. This year, we have allocated 10 million, meaning next year, what has to be allocated is 190 million. Now, I'm trying to look at the ratios. It means that this year we have allocated 5%. No, I'll seek a clarification. I said, if I didn't hear you correctly, please bear with me. Maybe I didn't hear properly, Honorable Minister. I would like you to help me with a response to that question, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank my colleague, the Honorable Member for Chinsali. First of all, clarification, I did not say 10 million, I said 30 million. But I think the main thing, Honorable Mukosa, is the time frame that we have given. It means we have assessed what needs to be done, and when we say 18 months up to fourth quarter 2027, that is the government assurance that we should be held to. But a bit of information, Honorable Mukosa. The reason why we need people of experience in this house and elsewhere is because they have a history. The Basuma Bridge, for your information, I visited that site in 2007 during MMD, when I was chairman of the Public Accounts Committee in this house. At that time, 75% of the total project cost had been paid by government of the day. 75%. When we visited site, there was absolutely nothing. There were only 2 small piles of sand on the Chinsali side of the Chambesh River. So that 75%, not under PF, but earlier on under the MMD government, went to waste. So we are aware of how much the people connected by that bridge have waited. This new Dawn government is undertaking to ensure that that which was not done under MMD, not done under PF, will be done under UPND. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Basuma Bridge is a very important bridge economically, and Isoka constituency also passes through that bridge. Even Mafinga, Malawi, Chitipa town, and also part of Chama North. What assurance are you going to give the people of Isoka, Chinsali, and other towns that I have mentioned, Honorable Minister? What assurance are you going to give them? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As early as 2007, we knew it was an economic bridge. That's why we took the time to go and visit. Okay. Subsequent governments have done nothing on that bridge. The New Dawn government is saying this must be done That is why we have taken the trouble to allocate some resources. And by the way, Honorable Member, I have paddled in a canoe myself across that river at that spot. So I know it very well. So we shall do it more than the previous governments, including your previous government, have done. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would like to take you now to the bridges that we would like you to construct across Lubu River. That is one in connecting Sula and Cheswa, the other one connecting Malalo village and Kapululu. So you indicated, Honorable Minister, that the government does have plans and RDA, working in collaboration with the Chinsali Local Council, they are about to undertake preliminary works that cover, I think, an evaluation of the works that have to be done. When is the Chinsali Local Council and RDA going to start these preliminary works of understanding the works that have to be done? And I do understand, Honorable Minister, that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. What you have indicated that the government is going to do is something that is very, very welcome. As the people of Chinsali are welcoming the idea of RDA and the Chinsali Local Council to start the preliminary study. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, as I indicated, Honorable Mukosa, that the roads across that crossing point are not gazetted, but the bridges must be done. Your follow-up question is when? Are you paying attention? The follow-up question is when is RDA and the local council going to carry out this assessment? The answer, as I indicated, is they are already doing it. I would ask you, that's why we wanted Bill 7, so that MPs can go back in the councils to push. I hope you supported us. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Next, we make progress. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Next grouped questions, the Honorable Member for Katombol.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according the voice of Katombola constituency to ask the Minister of Technology and Science question number 245. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Technology and Science to respond to questions 245, 246, and 247 as grouped questions. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, question 245, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Katombola asked the Minister of Technology and Science a question in two parts. When will the government construct communication towers in Momba Chiefdom in Kazungula District, and in B, what the estimated cost of the project is? Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that government will commence the construction of communication towers in Momba Chiefdom of Kazungula District in the second quarter of 2026. Given the limited resource envelope, government will commence with the construction of one tower under the Smart Village project to be located at Momba Primary School in Momba Ward. The House may wish to note that the tender for the construction
of 10 smart village projects, which include the site in question, has been uploaded on the EGP and is expected to close on 16th of March 2026. The cost of constructing one tower is approximately $170,000. Madam Speaker, question 246, asked by the Honourable Member of Parliament, Honourable Mabenga. In A, the Honourable asks, how many communication towers have been allocated for construction in Mulowezi district under the gap analysis program? In B, how many towers are earmarked for construction in the following years, word by word, 2025, 2026, 2027. In C, when the existing towers will be upgraded from 2G to 4G and 5 in order to enhance internet connectivity. D, whether the upgrading of towers will also increase the radius of the catchment areas. And in E, what measures are being taken to enhance internet connectivity in Mulowezi to ensure that the local people start using the mobile phones for cash transaction? Madam Speaker, the response is as follows. I wish to inform the House that A, following a gap analysis survey undertaken in 2022, government identified a total of 18 sites in Mulowezi district. However, only one site at Kasopa Primary School has been earmarked in 2026. In part B of the question, the House may wish to note that government did not construct communication towers in Mulowezi district in 2025. In 2026, government plans to construct one communication tower at Kasopa Primary School in Mulowezi, and the procurement process has since commenced. In 2027, under the World Bank digital project, 2 sites have been earmarked for construction. In SIM, Zamtel has upgraded 6 out of the 8 existing communication towers from 2G to 4G in 2025 to enable internet connectivity. There are no plans to put 5G network technology. D, the catchment area of the existing towers will remain the same. The 6 upgraded communication towers will enable our citizens access internet in the area. In E, as stated in D of the response, the upgrading of the existing 2G communication towers to 4G sites is being undertaken as a measure in order to provide internet connectivity. Madam Speaker, question 247. The Honourable Member of Parliament for Chinsali asked the Minister of Technology and Science a question in 3 parts. Whether the government has any plans to construct a communication tower in the foreign area of Chinsali parliamentary constituency, Kaluka in Chunga Ward and Shimuyu and Dam, and in B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government has plans to optimize network availability in Kaluka area of Chunga Ward. The government has also earmarked the construction of a tower at the Yindam area located at Shimyindam Primary School in Chinsali Parliamentary constituency to be financed under the Digital Zambia Acceleration Project. The construction of the said tower is expected to commence in 2026. In BIM, government has also prioritized the optimization of existing infrastructure in Kaluka of Chunga Ward and the construction of a communication tower in the Shumuyunda area. In C, in view of the response given in B, but C falls apart. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions? The Honourable Member for Mulobezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, thank you for that response. My appeal to you, Honourable Minister, is on the number of towers which you are going to allocate to Mulobezi. The impression which I was given when each time I was going to your office was a minimum of 3. Now I'm being told only 1 tower is going to be constructed in Mulobezi, which is totally unfair to us, because Mulobezi has been underdeveloped by successive governments. Now, the only hope now is this government to develop that place. Can I appeal to you, Honourable Minister, that can you increase the number from 1 to something else, maybe 5 towers, because there's no communication whatsoever, and the people are told to be paid on the phones when there's no communication system. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, in the answer we said in 2026, we are going to construct 1 communication tower, and also that in 2027, we are going to construct 2 communication towers in Mulobezi constituency. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Katombola.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Honourable Minister, thank you for your statement. In Katombola constituency, we are lagging behind in terms of network, just like our colleagues in Mulobezi. Now, are you saying, Honourable Minister, that 1 tower you are putting in Momba is part of the 18 towers that you promised to deliver the people of Katombola, or is just a separate commune tower that you are giving the people of Momba? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, the tower, the smart village that we refer to, that is going to be given in Katombola constituency, just to read the components of that particular investment. There will be 1 mobile communication tower, number 2, smart education platform for both primary and secondary school, 3, smart renewable energy solutions, 4, connectivity to e-commerce and online transaction, and health solutions for rural areas. Madam Speaker, we already said the limitation that we have got is availability of resource. As for 2027, we shall have to await the budget when it's presented and see whether we can be able to construct additional towers in 2027. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for the response. I just wanted to seek a clarification. You indicated that the construction of a network tower at Shimuyinda will be done in 2026. I would like to know when exactly the construction will commence in 2026. Is it in the 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, or 4th quarter? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, we expect that to probably start in the 4th quarter, because this has only been advertised now, and the procurement process, will take place. So by the end of the year, I think it will start. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Bwengo.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. And Minister, thank you for your statement. Minister, I think I remember quite well last year, or is it the year before last year, when all the members of parliament were asked to submit, points where they want their areas to be connected, to have towers. The challenges which the honourable member of parliament for Katombola is facing, I think this is a common problem to most of our constituencies. Honourable Minister, when are you going to come on the floor of the House? No, is it possible for you to come to this floor of the House to tell us in all the 156 constituencies where you are going to construct towers so that we don't burden you with a number of questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, I do agree that perhaps to give a comprehensive statement on the construction of the towers, countrywide would be very useful. But only to say that last year we worked very hard, and one of the things that we did is to negotiate for $100 million to support the construction of the towers from the World Bank. This was only approved this year, and that is why we are now beginning to do the construction of the towers. Secondly, Madam Speaker, because of the reforms that we undertook in the sector, this year the private sector are also, for the first time, planting a number of towers, and from the private sector alone, we expect 407 towers. That would be in the statement. So the reforms are beginning to pay dividends. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Mulobezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, the network in Mulobezi comes only from 10 hours to 17 hours. Thereafter, there's no communication whatsoever. Even people, the patients, they can't communicate with the hospital, whatever. The communication comes to a standstill. Can you do something about that, Honourable Minister? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, one of the limitations that we have had, particularly in rural towers, is the design of the energy solutions that were associated with those towers. A combination of diesel generators and solar. But even with that combination, they could not operate 24/7. Now we have new solutions, solar alone with battery, that can be able to power the tower 24/7. And this program is being implemented in a phased manner. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister. The question is basically on the timeline. That is for Kaluka. The optimization of the tower, nearest tower that we're expecting that it should be covering Kaluka in terms of providing it with network, when are we expecting this optimization exercise to be undertaken? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, fortunately, as we speak, the engineers are in the constituents, are in Chinsali, and they are the ones who are briefing us that they are working on the optimization. So I would only urge the Honourable Member of Parliament to come and see us so that we connect them to the engineers and will be able to monitor for us on the ground. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I used to be so excited when you talk about towers. I'm no longer excited. Madam Speaker, more than 2 years ago, the Minister commissioned the Misangwa Tower in my constituency. Up to now, nothing has been done. Tenders were cancelled because it was a local contractor. What assurance, Minister, are you giving the people of Katombola, the people of Momba, the people of Molobezi, that these towers, once they start getting constructed, there will be nothing like what has happened in Mushindamo? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, one of the challenges that we have faced, particularly in the construction of towers, we thought we could use our local contractors as part of the empowerment process. And they were awarded a number of towers to be constructed countrywide. It is sad to note, Madam Speaker, that we have had very poor performance in delivery of towers by our local contractors. As we stand here, over 40 towers remain at various stages of construction. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Katombola.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, your poor quality network in the Republic of Zambia, not only in Katombola where you are putting towers here and there. Last time, particularly Airtel and MTN, the only good quality telephone network system is the government one, the Zamtel. They used to accuse my minister, my hardworking Minister of Energy, that why network was poor. Why network was poor was because there was no electricity and all those excuses. Now we have electricity 24/7, Honorable Minister, but the network, even in the next door, it is telling you the phone is off. Even when you are together, you're calling your friend. What really is happening? Is it the quality of your towers, like the tower you are trying to bring to Katombola, or what is the problem? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, we already said we did some aggressive reforms last year, particularly for the private sector to invest. Airtel alone is going to do 407 towers to address the very issue that you have raised. So if we didn't do the reforms, we'll still be grappling with that particular problem. So part of the solution is the investment by Airtel. And number two, part of the solution is to have independent power generation by using 100% solar. So there'll be no issue of whether ZESCO is on or ZESCO is off. So those are the improvements that we're doing to ensure connectivity is available 24/7. I thank you.
Thank you. I was almost winding up. The last person who indicated was the Honorable Member from Bavala, and I was going to move to the next.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for those good responses to our grouped questions. Honorable Minister, you had started the program where you actually commissioned some towers in Iteteji, and we were told that you were moving this way. Iteteji, Namwara, I think in Muchira there were towers which were commissioned, and we were moving this way. Next in Mbabara, where we have a problem in Simunzere, Chazangwe, and many other areas that need network urgently. Where are we on that program which you have been doing of commissioning towers in all the need rural constituencies so that we can all be talking and do well with these cash-based mobile money-related items? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, that program is on. We're already going to various parts of Zambia, commissioning, towers. we were in Central Province, we were on the Copper Belt, and indeed we'll go into Southern Province where the towers will be commissioned. So Mbabala will be one of them. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate you so much. Honorable Minister, government at some point built almost about 1,009 towers across the country, and most of these towers are Zamtel operated. Now, what has happened is that these towers, it's like they've come, the batteries have gone low, and most of them don't have the internet connectivity. The problem which is here, Madam Speaker, is that programs like social cash transfer, cash for work, are all paid using mobile phones. And you can imagine rural areas, people have worked and they're not getting paid because there is no internet connectivity. Minister, how are you going to do it to ensure that, especially Zamtel, because people are going to lose interest in Zamtel and they'll lose credibility. To restore credibility and customer base for Zamtel especially, what are you going to do about it so that they look up on the towers, especially those in rural areas? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, Zamtel has been born again digitally. Zamtel is undertaking a very aggressive upgrade program, much bigger than the private sector is doing. They are going to upgrade 1,200 towers from 2G/3G to 4G. As of the end of December, they have done 600, and the rest of the 600 will be done this year. So the Zamtel of the past is no longer the same. Madam Speaker, may I also add that as of the end of 2025, Zamtel, for the first time in a long time, was able to return a profit of over 8.5 million kwacha. And I'm sure going forward, it will continue to return a profit. So, Madam Speaker, Zamtel is digitally born again. I thank you.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Shangombo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, listening from the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, you might think all is well. But speaking for Shangombo, Madam Speaker, there is a tower which was left by the previous government, the PF. It has been standing for the past 6-7 years. I've been going to the ministry for the past 4 years. I was being promised that, no, give us a month, this tower will be activated. But for the past 4 years, nothing has happened. We have areas, Madam Speaker, the MP for Chitambo has stated, where people now, cash for work, social cash transfer, they have to get their money on mobile phones, but there's no network. Even the GRZ schools under the World Bank, all the laborers there are being told to have mobile phones, but they can't access their money because of lack of network. When is the minister going to walk the talk so that whatever he says here is done on the ground? And also, if the minister is able to avail us with the list of towers which he mentioned for Airtel, the 400, so that maybe also Shangombo is included on that list. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, indeed, most of the rural towers are Zamtel, including the one in Shangombo. Like I said, Zamtel went through a very difficult financial condition and only began to breathe again after undertaking a massive restructuring of the balance sheet and also debt swaps with the government. That is what has given them the space to breathe again. So the last couple of years have been focused on ensuring that Zamtel has got a strong enough balance sheet to be able to access resource from the open market to undertake investment, particularly in towers. And that's why we have said, Madam Speaker, as a consequence, Zamtel has planned to do the 1,200 towers. Already as of December, they have delivered 600 towers, and the balance will be 600 upgrades, and the balance will be delivered by the end of the year. The 407 that are being done by Airtel, we shall give members of parliament copies to know where all these 407 towers are being planted. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We make progress. Motion, the Honourable Member for Chinsali.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Zambia delegation to the 58th Southern African Development Community Parliamentary Forum, SADC-PF, plenary assembly session held in eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality, Durban, South Africa, from 30th November to 5th December 2025, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th March 2026.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, it is, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honourable Member for Chisamba. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Zambian delegation to the 58th Southern Africa Development Community Parliamentary Forum, SADC-PF, plenary session held in eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality, Durban, South Africa, from 30th November to 5th December 2025. For the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th March 2026. Any debate? The Honourable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 154 of the National Assembly, Standing Orders 2024, I stand to give a report on the activities of the 58th Plenary Assembly session, highlighting the key resolutions made by the Assembly. Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that the 58th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC-PF convened under the theme, the impact of climate change on women and youth in the SADC region and the role of parliamentarians and parliaments in climate change mitigation and adaptation, and was officially opened by His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Paul Shipokosa Mashitile. The Deputy President, Madam Speaker, observed that climate change disproportionately affected women and young people in the SADC region by deepening vulnerabilities, disrupting livelihoods and education, and increasing risks of gender-based violence and exploitation. Madam Speaker, he outlined the critical role of SADC parliaments in responding through legislation, oversight and representation, including aligning laws with regional and international frameworks, promoting gender-responsive and climate-smart policies, facilitating clean energy transitions, ensuring accountability and allocating adequate resources to protect vulnerable groups. The Deputy President reaffirmed South Africa's commitment to climate action, citing the enactment of the Climate Change Act in 2024, and called on parliaments to work together to take meaningful, people-centered action to address climate change and its disproportionate impact on women and youths across the SADC region. Madam Speaker, it is my belief that members have read the report of the delegation. I will therefore only highlight some of the key resolutions made by the plenary assembly. Madam Speaker, the plenary assembly expressed profound concern over the escalating and compounding impacts of climate change across the SADC region, including intensified droughts, devastating floods, tropical cyclones, and rising sea levels. The plenary assembly noted with grave concern that these impacts threaten food security, water availability, public health, livelihoods, and socio-economic stability, thereby undermining the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and SADC's regional integration agenda. Madam Speaker, the plenary assembly in this regard adopted the resolution calling upon member states to treat climate change as an urgent development, security, and governance priority, requiring coordinated regional parliamentary action. Further, Madam Speaker, the plenary assembly acknowledged that climate change was neither gender neutral nor generation blind and recognized that women and youth bore a disproportionate burden of climate impacts due to pre-existing socio-economic inequalities, reliance on climate-sensitive livelihoods, and limited access to decision-making, finance, technology, and land. In view of the foregoing, Madam Speaker, the plenary assembly adopted the resolution urging member parliaments to mainstream gender-responsive and youth-sensitive approaches in climate legislation, policies, and programs. Madam Speaker, the plenary assembly reaffirmed the central role of parliaments in enacting climate-responsive legislation, approving climate-sensitive budgets, and exercising effective oversight over climate governance. The plenary assembly also emphasized the urgent need for dedicated funding for climate research, data generation, evidence-based policy making, and adopted the resolution urging member states to adopt and implement gender-responsive and youth-sensitive policies that recognize women and youth as key agents of climate action and resilience. As I wind up, Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that the plenary assembly considered country reports on the implementation of resolutions adopted at the 57th plenary assembly session held in Victoria Falls City, Zimbabwe in June 2025. In addition, the assembly considered and adopted standing committee reports, the report of the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, the report of the joint sitting of the standing committees, the executive committee report on General SADC Parliamentary Forum.
Order, honorable members, please can we tone down on the consultations or the chatting? May the honorable member continue.
The executive committee report on General SADC Parliamentary Forum policy and administrative matters, and the treasurer's report. Furthermore, plenary also presented with and adopted the report of the 151st Interparliamentary Union IPU Assembly and related meetings held from 19th to 23rd October 2025 in Geneva, Switzerland. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I wish to express profound gratitude on behalf of the SADC PF delegation to the 58th Plenary Assembly, to you and the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly for the guidance and support rendered to it during the undertaking. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chisamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to Thank you for according me this opportunity to second this important motion arising from the 58th SADC Plenary Forum Assembly session, which was convened under the theme, The Impact of Climate Change on Women and Youth in the SADC region and the Role of Parliaments in Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation. Madam Speaker, allow me to thank or commend Honorable Kalalwe Mukosa, Member of Parliament for Chinsali, for having ably moved this motion and for clearly linking it to the broader climate and development challenges facing our region today. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the House may also wish to note that another key item on the plenary assembly's agenda was the consideration and adoption of reports from the standing committees, the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, and the joint sitting of standing committees following their statutory meetings that were held in Johannesburg, South Africa on the 30th and the 31st of October 2025. The reports, Madam Speaker, highlighted very pertinent issues affecting the region and informed several recommendations for parliamentary action. Among the notable recommendations to different parliaments were for parliaments action to address the regional energy deficit by urging national parliaments to prioritize the ratification and domestication of the SADC Energy Protocol, and also to strengthen the oversight of its implementation and the regional power pool integration and utilize budgetary authority to approve the strategic investments in renewable energy. Madam Speaker, we also looked at the critical role of parliamentarians in election observation, which I think has been a topical issue at SADC for democratic consolidation, called for predictable funding and increased parliamentary participation in the SADC PF election. Madam Speaker, we also looked at the Women's Caucus, which we also have here, the Zambia Women Parliamentary Caucus. We have it here in Zambia, but also at the SADC level, we also looked at how it can help with gender response to climate action and encourage member parliaments to ensure that climate policies and finances were guided by robust gender analysis supported by gender disaggregated data in carbon markets and reinforced by strengthened oversight to hold implementing agencies accountable. So, Madam Speaker, these were some of the outcomes that demonstrate that the 58th Plenary Assembly did not merely engage in thematic discussions on climate change, but rather it addressed the interconnected challenges of energy security, democratic governance, gender equality, and social justice, particularly as they affect women and youths in the SADC region. It is therefore incumbent upon all of us, Madam Speaker, as parliamentarians to ensure that effective follow-up at national level through legislation, budgetary allocation, and rigorous oversight. Our participation in the regional forums must translate into tangible action that improves the lives of our citizens. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Honourable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, just to add a few words to this report. And of course, may I thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chinsali and also the second Honorable Member of Parliament for Chisamba in the manner in which they've laid the substance on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, I like the sitting that was held and what was being deliberated on. They are talking about women and youth and the impact climate change is brought. Madam Speaker, climate change, whether we like it or not, is real. And it's affecting a lot of countries. When you read this report, Madam Speaker, you are going to see that several countries submitted the effects of climate change on women, youth, and children, and how it is pushing them into poverty, and children failing to go to school, and youth also failing to adapt. But what is catchy here is that this assembly had to come up with resolutions that were passed on to each member state to go and implement. And if you check on page 29, they agreed that in our policies as member states, we need to integrate climate resilience into national policies on agriculture, water management, and energy. Madam Speaker, this is very important for our country to adhere to what we are being told by such kind of assemblies, because it is from this that we change a lot of lives in this country. And Madam Speaker, it would be a sheer waste of money to send a group of members of parliament to such an important assembly, and such directives are being given to us, and we ignore them. But one thing that is pleasing is that Zambia is implementing most of the policies in terms of the Ministry of Energy and Water. And you can see, Madam Speaker, that there are new policies that are coming out every day. But the question that I have is, are they directed at climate resilience and adaptation? I think this is what is majorly being discussed here. And also another one, which is also catchy, is we also need to be responsive to growing threats of food sovereignty, water security, and sustainable livelihoods. So they are trying to agree that food security is very important to our nation or to our nations, and we should go back to our people and inculcate a sense of starting to save what they grow. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Agriculture, when he stands there, he tells the nation how much they've gotten from our people in terms of buying. But we don't know how much maize they remain with to keep for them to feed. And again, down the line, 2 months down the line, you hear the minister is saying, you can go and buy from the sheds. The sense of saving is no longer there. People want to make money out of their cash crops. So what we are trying to say here is, can we go back to our people and tell them that it is not just about selling, but also about saving for yourselves to have something to survive with the whole year round. Madam Speaker, there is also another point which is very nice, saying we must have some financing which is just dedicated to climate research. And this is very important, Madam Speaker. Any nation that has to grow heights, there must be researchers and there must be money kept for such research to ensure that things like forecasting, things like resilience to climate can be researched, and the government is well informed. Madam Speaker, and these researchers, once they are brought on board, they must come up with programs that can go as far as
the Ministry of Education, so that the Ministry of Education can put these research programs into the curriculum for our children, so that they can know where we are going and what is coming in the future. Because, Madam Speaker, without research, we shall go nowhere. We shall know nothing. All the time we shall be asking from our neighbors to know what is coming next. It is very much disheartening, Madam Speaker, to see the challenges that today, those of us like Shango Mbochitambo, if you went there today, Madam Speaker, people are living in water. Didn't we see that water will come? Yes, it was known. What did we do to our people? Did we tell them to move? The answer is I don't know. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, government is meant to spend a lot of money just to try and help these families who are now living in water. Madam Speaker, all member states were directed to go and implement these serious resolutions. And when I look at them, I'm saying these resolutions are very progressive and we must ensure that we implement them. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank you for allowing or for granting members of parliament from our parliament to go and attend this very, very, very important assembly. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? I see none. The Honorable Member for Chinsali winding up debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Chisamba, who was the seconder of the motion in the manner she seconded the motion. I would also like to thank the Honorable Member for Chitambo for the debate and the information that he has shared on this very important report, and also to just thank the House for the support that they have shown to this report. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I put the question. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Zambian delegation to the 58th Southern African Development Community Parliamentary Forum, SADC-PF, plenary session held in eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality, Durban, South Africa, from 30th November to 5th December 2025, for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th March 2026. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Private member's motion, the Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House urges the government to establish a national ethics committee responsible for ethical professional practice standards in the professional community in the country.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Seconded by the Honorable Member for Kalomo Central. The question is that this House urges the government to establish a national ethics committee responsible for ethical professional practices standards in the professional community in the country. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ethics are the moral principles that guide behavior. Professional ethics are the specific standards of conduct expected within a profession. Professional practice standards are formal rules or codes often set by laws or professional bodies governing how professionals conduct their work. A national ethics committee is typically a government-appointed panel of experts and stakeholders tasked with reviewing ethical issues and advising on standards or policy. And the professional community in this case refers broadly to all practicing professionals, for example, doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, and so on, across sectors. Madam Speaker, National Ethics Committee at global perspective. Internationally, many governments and organizations have established high-level ethical bodies to advise on ethical standards. For example, the World Health Organization, WHO, observes that national ethics committees of experts can be set up by governments to ensure robust assessment of issues and offer ethically informed solutions and policy recommendations. France is an example that set up in 1983 the first National Ethics Committee to advise the government of France on biomedical and life science ethics. Philippines is another example that set up a National Ethics Committee under its Health Research Council in 1984. It reviews biomedical research to ensure studies conform to international ethics principles, and it issues the first national guidelines on health research ethics in 1985. Kenya is just another example that has a government-accredited ethics committee. Its National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation now accredits local institutional ethics committees, mandating that research protocols undergo independent ethical review. In the Zambian context, Madam Speaker, the 1996 Constitution explicitly names morality and ethics among national values and principles that must guide governance. In practice, ethics oversight is handled by various institutions such as the Independent Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which enforces integrity in public service. Further, many professions have statutory councils with their own codes. For instance, the Law Association of Zambia enforces legal code of ethics requiring lawyers to keep client confidentiality and act with integrity. The Health Profession Council of Zambia is another that requires doctors, nurses to respect patients' autonomy, confidentiality, beneficence, and non-malfeasance. Madam Speaker, the National Health Research Authority Act 2013, a National Health Research Ethics Board mandated to regulate ethical standards in human and animal research and oversee adherence to research ethics guidelines. However, beyond research, Zambia does not have a single multi-professional ethics committee. Instead, ethics rules are embedded in sectoral laws. For example, the recent legislation governing social workers, marketers, and other professionals mandate adherence to codes of conduct in their field. While Zambia has many ethics laws in the books, enforcement is uneven. The gap in interprofessional accountability. Madam Speaker, where existing frameworks successfully manage individual professional discipline and criminal corruption, they do not provide a dedicated mechanism to systematically address ethical conflicts that arise specifically at the intersection of different professions. For example, when an engineer and an accountant allegedly collude to commit a fraud in a public infrastructure project, their respective disciplinary committees focus only on individual adherence to sector-specific codes, rather than addressing the broader interprofessional ethical breadth in a coordinated manner. Madam Speaker, there is no existing mandate to harmonize or mediate the ethical conduct standards required for such cross-professional interactions. Establishing a national ethics committee could provide a unified forum to harmonize professional standards, advise on emerging ethical issues, and reinforce public trust. Further, it would align with Zambia's anti-corruption and good governance efforts. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you for according me the opportunity to second this important private member's motion. Allow me at the onset to thank Mr. Alex Katakwe, Member of Parliament for Sorezi, East Constituency, for ably moving the motion. Constitutional and the Governance Foundation, constitutional basis. The Constitution of Zambia clearly enshrines morality, ethics, integrity, transparency, and accountability as national values and principles of governance. The values are binding on 1, state organs, state institutions, public officers, and all persons when applying or interpreting the Constitution. Therefore, the motion is not introducing a foreign concept, it is making it a constitutional obligation. Why a national ethics committee is necessary? Fragmentation of ethical oversight. Currently, Zambia has a sector-based ethical regulation. Law Association of Zambia regulates lawyers, health professions, Council of Zambia regulates health practitioners, National Health Research Authority oversees research ethics, and anti-corruption addresses corruption-related misconduct. While these institutions perform important roles, they operate in silos. There is no coordinating national body to, 1, harmonize professional ethics standards, address interprofessional ethics conflicts, provide advisory opinions on emerging ethic dilemmas, and guide national policy on cross-cutting professional conduct. Economic and development rationale. Madam Speaker, ethics is not abstract morality. It is economic infrastructure. According to World Bank governance indicators, countries with stronger accountability and integrated systems, 1, attract more foreign direct investment, experience lower procurement losses, and achieve better development outcomes. Professional misconduct in infrastructure, health procurement, and financial systems has measurable economic costs. An integrated ethics framework strengthens 1, investor confidence, public procurement integrity, service delivery standards, public trust and social stability. Ethical failures erode public trust in 1, doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, and public institutions. Trust is a public good. A national ethics committee would issue advisory opinion, promote ethical literacy, develop national guidelines, strengthen preventive oversight. Prevention is more cost-effective than reactive disciplinary action. Strategic national benefits. Establishing a national ethics committee would 1, enhance coherence in professional standards, strengthen constitutional values, improve interprofessional accountability, support economic development, increase public confidence, and align Zambia with international best practice. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to second. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like first to appreciate it is important that even when I don't agree with some of the ideas, it takes a lot to develop a motion And I think my brother has gone through a lot to develop, including the seconder. I would like to appreciate them. Madam Speaker, I was going to agree if this motion was targeting just National Ethics Committee. But Madam Speaker, there are key words in that motion. It is talking about National Ethics Committee for standards linking to professions. What this motion seems to desire to arrest is a situation where you collapse different professions and they are cleared. This one they are proposing is a clearing house for all the professions as it may be. The motion seems to swim against the current. Why it's swimming against the current is that they acknowledge that there is already existence of these ethical committees in different professions. They have talked about the lawyers. They have talked about the accountants. And Madam Speaker, linking this motion to Article 8 is also a misplacement. Article 8, yes, Article 8A starts with ethics and morality, which is within the parameters of the motion. Madam Speaker, when someone is trained as a doctor, they take Hippocratic oath. And within Hippocratic oath, you find that there are ethics related to Hippocratic oath. When someone is trained as a nurse, they take Nightingale oath related to the nurses. And excuse me. Yes. And Madam Speaker, the nurses, they take from Florence Nightingale. And the Hippocratic oath is for the doctors. So within those parameters, Madam Speaker, when you talk about the accountants, they all have what they believe in. You talk about the lawyers, they have what they believe in. And the collapsing these professions to be cleared by, I don't know, I can't even imagine how that committee, National Ethical Committee, to deal with professions would actually succeed. Because it will mean that it will be a mammoth task to bring all these professions under one roof. And they would be approving the standards for different professions. The way the country is seated, Madam Speaker, should not be disturbed. It's more like disturbing nature. When you have the nurses, you have the accountants, you have the doctors, you have the lawyers, you have the engineers. That's why we have this particular intersectorial interests, where you have the engineers approving their own issues and disciplining their own engineers. Why we have the Engineers Association of Zambia, there's a reason. Why we have the Economic Association of Zambia, there's a reason. And within those parameters, they can manage professional standards. You cannot allow a situation where professional standards are opened to one committee, and that committee becomes a clearinghouse of different professions. The doctor will say, no, according to Hippocratic oath, this is not how you go about the issues. The nurses will equally say, no, this is not how we go about the issues. Madam Speaker, linking this to the issue of national values, you need to know how the national values are applied. And how the national values are applied is embedded in Article 9, where interpretation of the law, and also making the law, and linking to this, further, there are acts of parliament that are supporting, for instance, LASI, and the acts of parliament that have got a spillover effect on these professional bodies. What the move of the motion is asking for is that let us revise all these acts of parliament so that when we collapse them into one body that should be dealing with professional ethics, it means that we also have to revisit all the acts of parliament that are linked to these professional bodies so that the one mammoth elephant...
Order.
As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for watching Parliamentary Television. The House has taken a 20 minutes health break and business will resume at 17 hours. And on the floor of the House, just before business was interrupted, was Chilubi Member of Parliament, Mr. Mlengafuwe, who was adding his voice to the motion, private member's motion that has been moved by Mr. Alex Katape, who is Member of Parliament for Solwezi East. And this motion is titled, Establish a National Ethics Committee, that this House urges the government to establish a National Ethics Committee responsible for ethical professional practice standards in the professional community in the country. So we expect business to continue with this private member's motion at 17 hours.
Yes, indeed, we still have more business to be considered on the floor of the House. And right now we take a look at some of the announcements which Madam Speaker announced when business commenced at 14:30 hours. Madam Speaker did recognize the presence in the public gallery of another group of women who were aspiring candidates for Member of Parliament in the forthcoming general elections, rather. The women participants in a high-level Women in Leadership Conference taking place at Mulongoshi International Conference Center from 4th to 5th March 2026, organized by the Gender Division at Cabinet Office and partners. And Madam Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, did welcome the visitors to the National Assembly of Zambia.
And in another announcement, the Honorable Madam Speaker recognized in the public gallery pupils and teachers from the Rhodes Park School in Lusaka, as well as Waterfall's Good Shepherd School in Lusaka District. And on behalf of the National Assembly, she welcomed the visitors to the institution.
And in the other announcement, Madam Speaker did say that she received a communication to the effect that in the absence of one of the Vice President who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose L. Lufuma, MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, Thursday, 5th March 2026, until further notice.
And in another announcement, the Honorable Madam Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of teachers, headmen, village headmen from Hanjalika Royal Establishment in Mazabuka District. And on behalf of the National Assembly, she welcomed the visitors to the institution. And of course, the House has also considered a number of questions for oral answer, understanding order number 80 and understanding order number 83.
Yes, indeed, and the House has also considered one committee report, and we still have more business that to be considered after the 20 minutes health break. Pauline, just now we take our viewers on break, and I'll be back at 17 hours. Continue watching Parliament TV as we endeavor to bring in Parliament closer to you. Good afternoon.
What is cholera?
Cholera is a diarrheal disease. A person with cholera will have severe diarrhea and vomiting. The stool will be watery, like rice water. The patient will become dehydrated due to loss of body fluids. The patient may die within 12 hours if he or she does not get proper medical treatment.
How can one get cholera?
Drinking untreated or contaminated water. Eating foods with contaminated, dirty hands, or using utensils washed with untreated water. Eating uncovered foods that has been exposed to flies. Eating cold or leftover foods that have not been properly stored. Eating food sold on the streets. Eating fruits and vegetables that have not been washed.
How can we prevent cholera?
Treat your drinking water by boiling or using chlorine. Do not eat foods from the streets. Wash your hands with soap and treated water after using the toilet. Heat food before eating it. Cover all food to keep away flies. Use the toilet always. Avoid using containers or plastic bags for the disposal of fecal matter. Make sure all feces are disposed of in the toilet. Keep the toilet clean and covered.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
As we prepare to commemorate the National Youth Week 2026 under the theme